Men are avoiding women. The future isn't looking well for women, so they're frustrated.
How to get a man to approach you within seconds using only 2 body parts.
One of your issues is when you go out, men don't approach you.
Why are there so many single women out here that are struggling to find a man?
This is how to get a guy to approach you at a bar. This idea came to me because I realized that staring at a guy or making eye contact wasn't enough to make him approach. So me and my friends, shout out to Kayla and Quanj, we came up with the Great Gatsby method. Okay, we know it well, Leo DeCap. This is what we are emulating. When you're making your eye contact, you do a little cheers. You can then take your drink back. You can keep eye contact, take a little sip. Make it your own. Make the Great Gatsby method your own. And why we like it is because it's more than staring. It's like an action. It's addressing this person directly, but it's not quite as aggressive as like a come here.
Message going around the dating community implying that highly educated, well-paid women are less desirable to the average man. And I would challenge that to say that most highly successful women tend to find the average man less desirable, thereby rendering them less desirable to the average man. A friend of mine was in a break room at his job the other day listening to a group of successful women talk about what they look for in a man, and all of them pretty much wanted a man who was doing better than them financially, and ideally a man that was doing better than them in every area of life. It was interesting because when he hears men talk about what they look for in a woman, it has nothing to do with her education, nothing to do with her finances, but everything to do with her character, with her beauty, with her ability and willingness to support him and submit to him. The thing about this conversation that we haven't discussed yet is who you become in attaining your success. If you could get the degrees, if you could get the bag, and you could still find yourself humble enough to support and submit to a man, even if he's not making as much money as you, then you don't fall into this category. But what tends to happen is we get the bag and we change the way we look at these men. No man wants to be looked down upon, period. You got the degrees, you got the bag, now you're trying to get the man, but you're coming into the relationship feeling as though you are better than him, and so why would you submit? That mindset is going to render you less desirable to any man.
How to get a man to approach you within seconds using only 2 body parts, your eyes and your mouth. You're going to make eye contact with him and hold it for 3 to 5 seconds. Then look away, then look back, and during this time you're smiling. Here's what it looks like.
There are plenty of reasons for why someone would want to avoid interacting with women, both in social and professional settings. While I cannot speak for everyone, here are my reasons for generally steering clear of the modern, mitochondrially defected, estrogen-dominant woman of agricultural society. We are in a culture that excuses women for their mistakes and lies. This is especially pervasive in corporate and professional circles, where working with women proves to be a nightmare. Pointing out, or even asking for clarification, becomes a case for disrespecting women. How dare you question the all-perfect creature? Sounds an awful lot like an egoistic narcissist, but okay. Furthermore, the statements a woman makes are not put to the trial. I distinctly remember how this one time back when I was in school, the girls in my class conspired to land me in trouble for developing double-meaning curse words, and lied to the teacher when it was really their doing. The teacher did not bother to inquire if her statements were indeed true. I was shamed, asked to shut up, and admit I was wrong, even when I was not. Countless other times throughout my life, I have been forced into situations where even defending myself was viewed as a form of aggression. Don't answer back. All this makes me believe that the culture we have in our societies is essentially a narcissistic one, where the woman is the narcissist. She is supposed to be all-knowing, all-perfect, and capable of no harm or wrongdoing, and her words are automatically valid beyond doubt when spoken. I stand to be corrected, but isn't this how narcissists operate? We are in a culture where the men are sexually perverted, and the women use their sexual perversion to bail themselves out, that is, remain morally unaccountable. This is especially pervasive in social and informal settings. I do not dare argue with women, because that'll send her simps barking at me. Bro, what are you saying? Respect women. Traits like respect women do not mean anything if said respect is not mutual, two-way traffic. Since when did respect equate to enabling people? I respect people for being decent human beings. Whether that person is a man or a woman or something else does not concern me. Again, these arguments cannot be raised when all parties involved are held together like a mafia. The woman weaponizes the aggression and sexuality of the man to her advantage to extract favors and bail herself out of her silly baby moves. Anytime I encounter a group where the men are limbic, reactive, sensation-seeking, sexually and aroused, and the women there are playing dumb, using their stupidly aggressive ways to earn themselves rewards that they don't deserve, I run in the other direction. Unless you are a pathetic simp, an enabler of female narcissism in our culture, there is no place in most social settings for well-meaning, emotionally tempered men with an upright spine. The men, hoping they'd stand a chance to hold sexual relations with the woman, excuse her every move and aggressively attack anyone who stands to hold her accountable. How dare you disrespect her? Wanna fight me, bro? We are in a culture where women are excused from gender norms, whereas men are not. I recently stumbled upon an Instagram post, presumably from the feminist movement, which detailed how a certain man was controlling in the name of setting boundaries with his partner, because he'd asked his wife to not post pictures in her swimsuit and interact with random men on the job. In their typically limbic and ignorant fashion, lacking critical thinking, the women there jumped in, tearing through this man, calling him insecure and pathetic. That's when I thought to myself, what would have transpired had this woman landed herself in a dangerous situation? The man would have been expected to bail her out, and just like that, the gender norm for the man that is as the protector is still maintained in full effect. If the woman wants to be totally free, the man too must be freed from the expectation that he must be there, ready to jump in and risk his own life to protect his woman at a moment's notice. You don't call the flight attendant delivering the safety instructions on a flight controlling, do you? Like, how dare she expect me to practice due diligence sitting on an exit row seat? This is a prime reason why I keep my boundaries, even with female friends, because the last thing I want is to be called controlling, on the one hand, and a coward on the other, for not being stupid enough to risk my safety for her. If you want to go out and get drunk all by yourself because you're a strong, independent lady, you need to own up to the consequences of your life choices. You cannot shame the men in your life for not risking their safety, on top of all the responsibilities they have in their lives, thanks to your society's 18th century gender norms for men. Be selfless in a way you always put the welfare of the women in your life first. Be the provider who bears the weight of earthly responsibilities, and be endlessly sacrificial, to be there to bail you out of your whimsical indulgences. Likewise, if the woman does something appalling, say, cheats in a relationship, and breaks it off on unfair terms, not fair and square to the parties involved, she is still treated as the victim, with sympathy, while the man is asked what he had done to make her want to cheat. Again, notice the clear narcissist enabler dynamic that prevails between the woman and society, and the clear assignment of scapegoat status to the man who refuses to play in the woman's circus. We are in a culture where women benefit from internal violence. As much as people like to claim they're all about equality and working towards a just society, at the first suggestion of trouble for the man, they pretend not to see what's happening right in front of their eyes. The woman has created a culture where violence and cruelty directed at males is excused, but the same is outlawed if the subject is a woman. Again, the legal system and culture enable this narcissism. Be it a schoolyard bully or a bunch of simps that have banded together, you are left to fend for yourself, while the women who'd allied with them silently pull the strings from behind the scenes. These men can come marching down at you, antagonizing you, and calling you a pussy because you politely declined to engage in debate with a female co-worker who had challenged you. And these sorts of transgressions are perfectly acceptable in the cultural discourse, something the so-called feminists stand behind and encourage from what I've observed. Pointing this out will invite more sexist mockery. Oh, what are you gonna do? Bitch and cry about not being able to defeat a woman? Men are held to 18th century gender norms, taking root from within a culture of honor. Be sensitive to insult and provocation, for if you didn't, you are not a man. Which begs the question, are we fighting for gender equality or privilege for certain groups? The way I see it, most women are perfectly content with this arrangement, where they can weaponize male stupidity and ruthlessness, which they have elected into place, because has it ever occurred to you that if your mothers and grandmothers weren't sleeping around with these so-called trashy douchebags, maybe the gene pool today wouldn't be this way, to do the dirty work for them in their culture? It's only when the men they'd allied themselves with, the thugs, crooks, and charlatans direct their bad behavior at them, do they come to notice the patriarchy? When their same boyfriends and husbands are out there causing trouble for other men, they claim to be blind, as long as they can secure the rewards such a man can earn within their culture for themselves. Like the queen bee, the woman of modern society wants drones, some stronger and bigger with elevated social ranks, and some weaker and smaller, condemned to fumigating the city's sewers, but drones nonetheless. Nowhere is this desire for male stupidity more evident than in the way scores of women treat the stronger and bigger drones. Again, notice that the woman does not want a strong and smart guy, the one who has emotional composure and knows himself, but rather another drone with more leverage, social powers, that she can wield selfishly through no awareness of the man. Anyway, that's all for today on Manhood. Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe buttons, and also click on the notification bell to be the first to know when I drop a new video. If you find value in my videos, you can show your support through PayPal or Cash App. The links are in the description. See you next time. Cheers!